Hi there, everybody. Linden here, Linden Thorp, and welcome to LinkedIn members and YouTubers. We're streaming to both today, and we're in Christmas mood. So you can see we've got a beach Santa there. And today I'm thrilled because I've got a lovely guest to introduce to you. And I'll do that in a moment. But first of all, I hope that you're enjoying your weekend. And I'm really glad you're here, just tuning in to what I've been up to and also to meet my new guest. Okay, so without more ado, let me introduce my new guest. She's a really unusual person because she's a women's headshot photographer. Yeah. Fantastic, isn't it? And she's called Joanne Topper, and she's going to come and meet you in a minute. And she says very strongly, calling out all powerful women and purpose, with purpose and passion. Is your business soaring, but your headshot image hasn't quite caught up? Don't worry, I've got your back. Supporting to capture the true essence of your success. And yeah, she really does. I've seen her repertoire. She's got some fabulous photos. So without more ado, let me bring her onto the stage. Here she is. Hi, Joanne.
Hello.
Great. It's great
Hello.
to have you. It's lovely to have you
Thank you for
here.
your invite.
Not at all, not at all. And we've been getting to know each other quite well recently, haven't we? So it was really just a natural thing to ask. I ask all my bodies to come and talk with me on Our Way, Our Wealth. And this podcast is about women mostly. And in fact, it started out being her way, her wealth. And I was focusing on women. Then I got so many emails and direct messages from men saying, oh, we want to join. Can we join? So then I changed it to Our Way, Our Wealth, and didn't want to be so discriminating. So then, yes, lots of men quite love joining me too. So it's very nice. Okay, so let's talk about you now. So tell us a little bit about the type of clients you have, and I believe you have two different types.
Yes, the clients that I have, Linden, either come specifically for a business headshot, or it's because they wish to tell the story of where they are emotionally at that point in their life. But as I said to you before, most of the women that come specifically for business, it becomes apparent that it's actually more emotional once they're in front of the camera.
That's very interesting, isn't it? I think that we have most people, and maybe most women too, have a very strange self-image, and I experience that quite often. As I mentioned to you, sometimes I don't recognize myself at all in photographs, and I think this is something to do with our energy and how it's constantly changing. And I guess once these professional women get in front of a camera, they start to melt a bit and, imagine what's going to happen. So how do you relax them? How do you get them to really relax?
Well, I put them through a process in the studio. I mean, I have to say the first thing is that trust has to be in place. So we've had many conversations before they actually come to the studio.
Right.
So once the connection between me and them is in place, then the rest is just them surrendering. So they're actually trusting that they'll surrender to the moment, because I'm there to guide them through the moment. I have a process in place that allows them to sort of morph into the environment of the studio to the point where they actually don't want to leave at the end.
Oh, great.
Well, it's a very intimate,
Yes.
creative bubble that they're a part of.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
It's not just me taking the pictures. They start coming out of their shell, and they either start recognizing a woman that they forgot was inside, or that they never actually knew existed, and they like her. So then they like to start playing with the creativity. Yeah.
Right. How fascinating. And how long is a session, to get the...
Well, it can vary. It can be a half day if it's purely business related, but that's more structured, or it's a complete indulgence is the long day, the whole day, when you have all the time in the world.
Brilliant.
I believe in taking the clock away, so that pressure isn't there for the client or for myself. And then it's just a case of dressing up.
Yeah. Wonderful. Oh, if only I was in Britain, I'd definitely come to you. It's more difficult in Japan because, Japanese photographers don't really, they're really scared of foreigners for a start, usually. And they don't have any idea how to relax one at all. I've tried it and just didn't work out at all. And there are hardly any women photographers here. That's interesting. Too. Couldn't find many. And a couple that I did find didn't want to be involved with a foreigner. So it's, it's, interesting, isn't it? It's all to do with the culture. Japanese people are really quite shy and retiring, and unless they've had some experience outside Japan, remember that Japan was closed for 230 years to any foreigner. And so, even now in Japan, if I'm traveling in the countryside on a train or something, I find loads of people just staring at me, which of course in English culture we wouldn't do. We'd really find that very rude, but they're just staring at me. They can't believe that I'm there, and they can't believe I've got blue eyes and I've got fair skin, and they just stare. Kind of drooling and staring, is quite funny. So I long to come and spend a day with you and for you to get my essence, and I will do that one day when I come back.
It would be a pleasure.
I would love it. I would love it. So, Joanne, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into this very special niche?
I was born into a family, a very creative family of retailers, ladies. Well, my father started off as a menswear window dresser for a very famous shop in London called Cecil G back in the 1970s.
Oh, I know.
And so he was their head window dresser for 10 years. And then he branched out into opening menswear shops. And then my mother, once we'd gone to school, said, well, why don't we actually start doing women's wear? And that was just at the beginning of the 80s. And then the whole thing just kicked off from there. So my sister and I were basically born and bred on the shop floor, surrounded by women and beautiful clothes that were imported or from Europe. So my whole upbringing was around watching Dad create these amazing shops and these windows and retail, and my mother quite an expert in colour.
Right. Yeah. So they weren't photographers.
Well, my father always loved photography. I never picked up a camera, ever. It didn't even enter my thoughts at all. Wow. But I was always in retail and always creative.
Right. So
and then sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Then about 15 years ago, a friend of mine put a digital camera in my hand and said, I think you'll be quite good at this, because your golden thread is creativity, women, styling, and I knew somewhat about technical. So I picked up the camera for the first time, taught myself how to use it, and then started the business from that point.
Brilliant, brilliant. And so, do you believe there's a mystique about being a photographer? You know, I've looked at many exhibitions of famous photographers and, you know, lots of coffee table books and so on. There seems to be this mystique about taking really special photographs. Do you think it is a mystique?
Well, I think when it was just film, everybody was a little bit more cautious about what they were snapping. So they had an eye and they'd be adding patience to it because they couldn't use all their film, especially if they were paying for it themselves. So they would be waiting for that moment, and they had an understanding of, you know, the rule of three and looking for certain colors and situations that were going to happen in front of them. Now with digital, anybody can point and shoot, and if you take 500 pictures, you're bound to get one that's amazing. So is there mystique? Possibly, yes.
So it's all about timing, isn't it? As you describe, you're, you know, spending a whole day with somebody to really find something very special about that person. So really, you're watching and waiting for the right moment, I guess, are you?
It's slightly different in the studio with a headshot. First of all, because it's digital, I can take as many images. And also, you follow a process, but then you have those magical moments in between where you take, you know, you're just pressing the button and you just don't know what's going to come out, you know, and that could be your masterpiece shot. So yes, as long as you follow a process, so there's some guidelines, and then the magic happens when you don't even know. Yeah.
Wow, that's brilliant. I must say, I have a bit of experience with cameras. I got a GoPro camera about 10 years ago, and the idea was to kind of take some really amazing outdoor shots and so on. And I remember going to Hawaii for the first time, and that's a kind of popular destination for Japanese. And all sorts of things happened, and I had my GoPro on a stick, you know, and I was rushing around. And as you describe, I took, I forgot what they call them now, that fast, I think they call them fast shots on GoPro. Yeah. And so you set the camera and it will take 100 shots. Yeah. And that was absolutely amazing, just as you describe, without only just sort of standing there holding the camera. And then just amazing things would come out of that batch of 100. Oh, how exciting it was. Yeah. And
with the face, obviously all the muscles are moving every millisecond, you know, that suddenly when you start looking back through your images, there can be one where the eyes look amazing, but the mouth is slightly off, and then the other way round. And then you're just praying that the next picture, everything just synced up, you know, lined up, and, you know, so it's a real hallelujah moment when you've got that picture that makes the hairs on the back of your neck, you know, stand up. But I have to stress, it's not a walk in the park, right? It's hard work, because these women behind me in these pictures, you know, it looks very natural once we're observing the picture, but there's a selection of things that they have to do to make that happen. So they have to be aware of the position of their head, the muscles that they're using under their eye, biting the back of their teeth to create an extra dimple here. So they're actually quite statuesque while we're taking the image. And it's not always comfortable, but it's worth it. Yeah.
So it can be compared to maybe a painter and a model. You know, you've got a model and you are, you know, the model is getting twitchy, standing there for 2 hours shivering, and you're trying to capture something. Yes, I can imagine.
Great image.
So really,
even if she was covered in a lovely blanket and really warm, 2 hours is a long time. Yeah.
It is, isn't it, to be in one place? I've done a bit of painting and sketching in my life, and actually I love painting, and I don't have time to do it these days, but I remember the times I've wanted to capture a scene without a camera and with a camera, and I've tried to do both, and the scene I captured with my brush and my charcoal and so on was so much better than what I created from a camera image. It's really interesting, I think, that this kind of live element in producing an image, a beautiful image. Wow.
And, I sort of go against the grain because everybody says that, not everybody, but it's kind of known in the trade, you know, that if you're going to take, this is a headshot. I call a headshot anything that's sort of from here upwards. Once you can see some chest or a little bit of waist, then that's, to me, classed as a portrait.
Yeah.
But, I've gone completely blank.
Oh, that's all right.
Next question.
Okay. The headshot thing then is kind of from above the chest. I'm very glad about that, because I've got very large boobs, and I don't really like putting them in photographs.
Right.
Don't worry, I've mentioned them before on this program. A few very interesting comments.
Linda, what were we just discussing before that? Before I went blank.
The headshot.
You were saying yes, that's it. So in the trade, if you take a headshot or a portrait, you use a headshot, or you use a portrait lens, right? Which is normally starting from 75, 80 millimeters upwards, right? But I actually use a wide lens. I shoot at 24, right? So my client is within 3 feet of me while I'm taking the picture.
Right.
So you have to be very, very precise about how you set up the camera and where the client is sitting, because obviously with a wide lens you can create distortion.
Right.
But if you get it right, it's really sweet, because then everything, as you see, is very curved and slightly exaggerated, but in proportion. So because the client is so close to me, I'm able to have that connection with her. As you said, you know, when you did the painting and you were close to what you're painting, it came out better than when you took it with the camera.
Yes.
So for me, that connection, while the lady is literally, I can touch her, it becomes very tangible and very special, because I'm not hollowing directions to the other end of the studio.
Like the kind of classic idea of the mad photographer, you know, getting in all sorts of angles and you know, umbrellas and stuff. So it's very different to that. I'm sure it is. It is. Oh, it sounds really exciting. So you're quite an expert on all the different lenses and lighting and so on that's required.
Well, I spent a good 2 years working out what kind of lighting I wanted to use, because it's all very personal to each photographer. And there's so much out there. Obviously, you can get slightly overwhelmed by it all. But the lighting that I decided to use was a make called Ari, that go back to the Hollywood days and beyond. And their lighting is traditional lighting that goes through something called a Fresnel glass. So it takes the light and it just spreads it beautifully. It's a very soft, well, some say hard, but I use it in a very soft way. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that sounds really interesting. So you're really a Hollywood photographer in some way.
I am. Lights, camera, action.
Well, that's great. Wonderful. And so, yeah, tell us more about those women who come to you with the emotional requirement. You know, they come not for a business photo.
Yes. Well, first of all, Linden, you seem to have disappeared, and I'm not sure if we're still live, so I'll carry on talking. First of all, the women that come to me for their headshot, first, when they come to...
Yes, go ahead.
I think you're coming back. Oh, sorry. Okay. So the women that come to me on an emotional level, usually it takes them quite a while to even decide to come. So a woman will put everything else first. She'll put her husband first, her children, anything that she can think of first. And she puts herself at the bottom of the list. But as soon as a woman has an emotional reason to come and have her headshot taken, she'll put herself to the top of the list. And that may be that she's come through menopause and she wants to celebrate her new self. She's recovered from an illness and felt detached from her body, and now it's time to rediscover herself. Her kids have left home, and it's time to transform, or that she's setting up her own business and wants to have beautiful pictures for her website or her branding. Yes. So it takes a while, but it usually has to have an emotional attachment. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's fascinating, isn't it? Well, as you know, I'm an embodiment mentor. And so I'm really fascinated by what happens inside the body when people have their photograph taken. And of course, I've also worked with performers. I'm a musician originally, a professional musician. And so
I seem to have lost you, Linden. Maybe you're still there. I'll just wait a minute.
Sorry, Joanne, we've got
That's
a bit
okay.
We keep getting cut off and pushed out for some reason. I don't know.
We'll find each other. That's okay.
Maybe we've got some seismic activity here. So that is happening. We've just had an earthquake here the other day.
Of course, of course.
So there's still a little seismic stuff in the atmosphere. Yeah. Yesterday there was an aftershock here in Tokyo, and the original site is like 300 kilometers away. So it's quite amazing. Yeah. So sorry about that. Anyway, yes, I was saying, I'm really focused on the body and the spirit, and the unlimited mind, which is the mind we access not to create tasks or to calculate or anything like that. We are maybe creating art. We come into the unlimited mind. And so I'm really fascinated, and I've also written some stuff about this, because when people have their photograph taken, something very strange can happen, I think, inside the nervous system. And this is an ancient, a kind of vestige of very ancient notions that we are being looked at. And many people resist that, John Berger's famous book about the eye and so on. People get very nervous when they feel they're being looked at in detail, maybe. And apparently lots of things happen in the nervous system because we think we're going to be predated upon, so if we go back to being hunter-gatherers, then the eyes were used in a really different way. And we think that there's some kind of threat. And so I think that's probably behind why many people clam up or resist, having their photographs taken. How do you overcome that kind of bodily discomfort when you're arranging them in the studio?
Well, it's very interesting you bring this up. It's because usually what happens once the woman has viewed some of her pictures as we're going along, and she sees a picture where she's absolutely amazed, because that's what we do. We get amazed when we see something fantastic, and usually there's tears. And it's a relief. Well, I feel relieved as well, but they feel relieved because, as I said, they recognize themselves again, or they see someone new. Plus, they're relieved that they've actually managed to master what they feel when they walk in that they're not going to be able to achieve. So we have tears and we have a hug, and then I say, come on, okay, that's enough, you're going to smudge your mascara, right? and we can't have that, right?
We can't have that.
And then as soon as so back to what you were saying, that energy, suddenly they get a surge of excitement and they can't wait to carry on. So all that fear, all that apprehension, all that scaredness, dissipates, and suddenly they feel like a child in a playground because of the relief, and it just, then you have the momentum, and then we just keep going. And it is scary because normally we're used to looking into a mirror and then we can at least just check ourselves. But when you have just this lens looking at you, you have no idea what it's capturing. You're just following directions.
Yeah, I think most people would find that incredibly scary. And I think that because our conditioning, our social conditioning, is laid down layer upon layer from being 5 years of age, we start to get socially conditioned. Then I find with my work that it's so difficult to get through all those layers to find the true nature. And I think for me, in the photographs I can see behind you and others I've looked at on your page and so on, you're getting below those layers. It's like you're really drilling down to find the true nature of your subject. And then you find the moment when perhaps they realize that they're letting go of all this layering, and then they start to feel This is very exciting. But
Yeah.
the self-image that we have is so distorted, isn't it? Because it's prevailed upon by culture, by family, by status, by gender, by all of these, by age, of course. And so when we start to really become the focus of a series of photographs, I think it's a really skilled photographer really gets down through all those layers, all that fear, as you mentioned, pure fear that what you capture is going to be really ugly and really unacceptable, I guess.
Yes.
It's a real incredible process, I think, that you go through. And you've obviously very carefully choreographed it. If you spend a whole day with your subject, wow, fantastic.
Well, the lighting took 2 years to work out. So I see it equivalent to sort of, Heinz tomato sauce. Once they got their recipe, they're up and running. And that's how it's been for me. I have all the direction and everything in place. I have all the lighting. So it takes, I'm not jumping around from one place in the studio to the other. The client is in front of me, and then it's just about the communication between the two of us, But back to what you were saying before, I may be subconsciously drilling down, but they're also subconsciously allowing the layers. They're shedding the layers.
Fall away. Yes, to shed.
Fall away.
Yeah. And so hopefully, and maybe you feel this from the portraits that you feel are really successful, or the headshots you feel are really successful, that in that photograph, in that magic photograph that is the best, from hundreds of possibilities, you've captured the true nature of your subject. Do you feel that?
Yes. Why am I thinking? Yes. Well, I mean, because they're choosing the one that they feel the most comfortable with. They're relating to their true self. I'm just, so you see, sometimes I say, oh, but this picture is beautiful because technically it's all in place for me, right? The chin is in the right place. Everything's just in alignment. It works like a Picasso painting, where it's all about angles. Everything's about angles. It all draws you in. And then suddenly they can choose one that defies all of that, right? But they recognize themselves in it.
Yes.
So it's not it's not about me choosing the masterpieces at the end, because usually there are an abundance of them. So many different avatars come out, that one could be for your mom, one could be for your husband, one could be for your work, one could be for you, obviously. So the choice at the end is down to them, with the ones that they can use as a badge of honor.
Right.
I've just helped them get there.
Right. That's very interesting, isn't it? That there's this moment when they recognize who they really are in that one special shot.
I mean, at the beginning of the shoot, I have this practice where we just make funny faces, right? And the faces can be I show them pictures of people that make funny faces, and that could be Marilyn Monroe to Elizabeth Taylor to Madonna, right? But it's just a warm-up session, right? But at the end, they usually choose one of these pictures that are a funny face, because they've pulled it in their own way of making a funny face. And they just can't wait to have that, even if it's in the kitchen or make them laugh.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Which again sort of defies everything else when you come for a headshot. But I have to stress that the purpose of them coming is for a headshot at the end of the day, but the headshot actually becomes secondary. The headshot becomes the cherry on the cake. The time that they spend here and the time that they shed those layers and fill themselves up with joy and playfulness is what the ripple effect lasts longer when they leave.
Right.
And then the picture becomes like a beautiful token of the day. Yeah.
That's so lovely. Yeah. And so really you are a transformer, aren't you?
I am.
You are. Wow, that's brilliant. I mean, me too. That's what I do, but not with photographs. I do it more with language, with meditation, with all sorts of things. But you do it with photographs. Wow, that's fantastic. So if you could give a message to anyone wanting to start taking photography very seriously, perhaps a young person, you know, who wants to, who really loves it and wants to create business around it, what would your message be?
Don't rush. Definitely add time and patience. Work out what you'd like your subject to be. Work out how you would like your lighting to look. And then reach out to as many people as you can to support you along the way, because you can't do it on your own.
Right. Well, that's great advice, Joanne. And I hope it's okay if people contact you.
Absolutely.
More advice, and I'll put your profile link under this window when we've finished, and I hope lots of people will come and talk to you about all this, because it's really fascinating. And I'm so glad you could come, and I'd love to invite you back again so we can go more deeply, because I've got quite a lot of questions. Having now talked for the first time about this with you, I've now got about 20 questions I want to ask. And so
fabulous. I see a part 2 on the horizon.
There is, most definitely. And of course, I'll let you have those questions before we start, so you can really think about them and so on. But yeah, it's really so similar to what I am doing, but from a totally different perspective. Fascinating. Brilliant.
May I just say one quick thing? I hope we have time.
Yes, we do.
I didn't actually know this was what was going to unfold when I picked up the camera, because I came from sales, and I just thought, oh, that'll be nice. I can take pictures and women may want to buy them. Everything else that I've told you about has come as a complete surprise as I've gone along.
Wow.
So it's morphed into this, but I had a total unawareness that that's what was unraveling. Yeah.
How exciting. Well, I think that makes an ideal business, doesn't it? Because you are discovering something that, you know, really engages you. This makes the best kind of business, because you're engaged, you're utterly engaged in what you're doing. And same with me. I love it. And I think that's the message I would like to kind of chorus with you, because I think if you are starting out in business or you want to be an entrepreneur, the best thing you can possibly do is find what really engages you, and then build on that, because creating a business, as Joanne knows, is it's not a walk in the park, as you said earlier, at all. It's hard work. You've got to keep at it. You've got to keep, and so it's no good choosing something that you don't love, and expecting to be able to sustain that after hours and hours of building and formulating and so on. So yeah, it's great advice. Super. Well, I really enjoyed it. And yes, we have to have part 2 and even part 3, maybe.
Oh my
Who
God, we've got a
knows?
trilogy.
Yeah. We may even just start a whole new podcast on photography and embodiment. It would be fabulous.
There we go. A beautiful Saturday morning surprise.
Yeah. So thanks so much. And
My
it
pleasure.
was quite short notice too. And it was a kind of spontaneous thing on my part. And but
Well, I'm pleased you did.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm really glad that often I very spontaneously invite people, and they always have a great time, and they always really thrive on going live, which I do too. I love going live. And they want more. They want to come back and do more, So I'm so glad I was spontaneous. And of course, you could have always said, no, I can't do that. But you didn't.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Anyway, thank you so much. Great insights into headshot photography. And yeah, you wait till I get to London. I'm going to be spending a day with you, and you're going to unlayer me, unshed me. So thanks so much, Joanne, and I'll be in touch.
Pleasure.
And of course, I'll send you the link to this live so that you can spread it around your network.
It'll be a pleasure.
Great. Okay. Bye for now.
Bye everyone. Bye.
Thank you. So how lovely, wonderful to get into real insights into what happens when we have a photography session with someone who is really so sensitive about it and has taken it so seriously. So it's brilliant for the future to think about going to see Joanne and getting your headshot done, because you will discover something remarkable inside you and it will be released, which is great. So thanks so much, LinkedIn members and YouTubers. Tomorrow I'll be back, and tomorrow I will be alone, I think. I could have another guest, but not sure yet. But anyway, let's keep that a surprise. And tomorrow I'll be talking about the arrangements for Christmas, and the coming week, co-hosting and so on with my masterclass. And this week we're going to be talking to Rosemary O'Shaughnessy, who is a LinkedIn trainer, very special LinkedIn trainer. There's nothing she doesn't know about LinkedIn, and she's going to be giving us lots of advice about how to really get comfortable on LinkedIn. So make sure you check my website and look out for the posts advertising event 13. We're coming to the end of cycle 4, but don't worry. We'll be back in January with cycle 5, which will start on the 21st of January. Anyway, I'll be posting all that, so don't worry. So I hope this has really inspired as much as it has me. I'm going to go and write some posts about it now and some articles, because it's fascinating. And I hope the rest of your Saturday is superb. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. This is Linden Thorp on Our Way, Our Wealth. Have a great day. Bye for now.